What up, YouTube? Covering these fascist assholes. Where they're on, it's like I say, man. They work. They put in the work every single motherfucking day. They're making new content. You know, they're getting in front of stories. They're constantly making sure the left is on the defensive. Ben Shapiro not having books in school libraries is not the same thing as banning the books. So that's where we're at now. We're now using semantics to argue our fascism. We're just going to let these guys get away with a completely semantic argument and then just let them ban books. Well, technically, I didn't ban them. I just put them in a place where you can't get them and where your child can't read them. But I didn't technically ban them. And there is no difference. He's just playing fucking games. Gaslighting, like a fascist would.
Who's trying to censor 1984? Who's trying? 1984 is a book about the evils of communism. You think there are a lot of right-wingers who are attempting to censor 1984? I'd like to see your work on that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we're saying. That's what we're saying, Ben. It's bizarre. Why would one ban 1984 in America?
Show your work on that. By the way, Margaret Atwood's novel, The Handmaid's Tale, is one of the most overrated pieces of...
This is running at normal speed. This is how this man talks. How do people listen? This is like listening to a Chipmunks album.
Crap ever put to paper. It is a garbage overstatement of every case. It's the attempt to use it as some sort of slander against...
It's not an overstatement. Look, the pictures that show empty bookcases, I do agree it was misreported, because what was happening was they were doing a complete audit to remove all the books that they found offensive because it had naughty words or something in it, or liberal ideology. That's what we're seeing. They're going after liberal ideology, what they consider to be liberal ideology, but just so happens to be aligned with historical facts, right? And it also just so happens to be related to black people. Famously, just recently, they banned a book because the reason was that it had something to do with Rosa Parks. It's obvious what they're trying to do with this.
People who are pro-life, for example, is just absurdity at every level. But, again, it's not being banned. Not having books in school libraries is not the same thing as banning the books. It is a decision as to whether those books are appropriate for, say, 5th graders or 4th graders, for example. But the left doesn't want them to make the decision. It's all about who makes, not even the decisions that are being made. This is about who are the institutional gatekeepers, who gets to make the decision about what your kid learns.
And they want to be those gatekeepers. They want to be those it's so I mean, this is exactly what Sartre said. This is exactly what Sartre was saying. Where's my Sartre? Where's my motherfucking... I can't believe I didn't bring Sartre over. I got to bring Sartre over to these groups. But it's your boy Sartre. They know these statements are ridiculous and contradictory. They know it.
The left says, we want to do it, and we don't want parents to have any part of that. And in order to achieve that, they're just going to lie about what it is they wish to teach your children. When they occasionally tell the truth, that's when parents start to backlash it.
And, you know, he's acting like they're being completely sensible. And he's like, they're trying to control us. When instead, his solution is to remove the book. When, okay, just can we have, you know, we can have rating systems for these books, you know? The idea that, you know, we need to remove the book completely. And we can't give the child a choice in this whatsoever. Not a rating system or anything. We got to remove it completely. But that's not control. You know, they in the right-wing ideology, the left wing just doesn't exist. They need to conform because the right wing, the reason is that the right wing represent themselves as the moral authority, as the only authority on what is right and wrong, because they got a fucking book filled with because they got a fucking fantasy book. They got a goddamn, you know, R.R. Tolkien style fucking, you know, mysticism book that gives you all the answers. That's also filled with a bunch of sex and bestiality and incest. And they're like, you got to listen to our book and you got to follow our morality based off this book. Yeah, the one with the one that where the daughters fuck the dad. That one. Okay. Yeah, we're not allowed to talk about that. This is bizarre if you don't understand Nick Fuentes, but it makes perfect sense. So Nick Fuentes is pro Macron right now, going against the protesters, which is interesting because Macron is a right winger. And he's basically, you know, well, I guess this makes sense. I don't know what conspiracy bullshit was talking about. To me, this makes perfect sense. A tweet here from RPG, Red Pill Gang TV. Okay. Nick Fuentes doubles down on his pro-Macron stance, says Macron's willingness to beat up those protesting against him against an increased retirement age is absolutely aspirational for calling for a donator to be killed in the riots. He's a real sweetheart, this Nick Fuentes.
But it is so inspiring to hear a democratically elected president say, I don't care if I'm unpopular. I love that. And he is willing to beat up the legislature.
He loves authoritarianism. He loves it. He thinks that's the magic pill that will fix all of our ails. It's just a strong man that comes in and does it all for us real quick.
Legislature and beat up his own people. Literally have police beat up protesters and basically quell the people in order to pass his agenda. I love that. I think that's absolutely aspirational. I just like when a leader says, I'll be unpopular. And I also like seeing protesters get beat up by the cops. Depends on the protest, though. When it's like baby boomers and they're like, hey, we want our retirement benefits. Awesome. More cops everywhere. Listen, you fat, ugly voter. We're taking away your benefits. We're raising the retirement age. I don't want to do this to you, but I have to.
Nick Macron is a childless ex-Rothschild banker. He is doing it because his Jewish bosses said so.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's totally ridiculous. I mean, go figure. People that would hate watch Nick Fuentes and put that comment there. He is doing it because his Jewish bosses said so. Could you imagine you're so anti-Semitic that Nick Fuentes is not anti-Semitic enough for you? That's how anti-Semitic Nick Fuentes viewers are. It's not even a joke, man. It's not even a joke. These people can't wait to pull the trigger. They can't fucking wait. Just wanted to show this picture here. This is what we're dealing with. Oh man, you had all kinds of red flags on your profile, buddy. He saw the thumbnail of me reporting on Nick Fuentes, and he came running in. Oh, are you talking about Nick? Oh, I love Nick. Oh, I'm a griper. You make me ashamed to be human, fellow human. I can't believe I'm the same species as these anti-Semitic fascists. This is what we're dealing with, folks. If we don't accept our enemy for what it is and start fighting it tooth and nail with everything, with all of our being, following my 3-step program, step 1, inform yourself. Step 2, join a progressive political organization. And step 3, put in the work. You don't follow my 3-step organization, these are the people going to be telling you how to live your life. And Nick Fuentes can't fucking wait to tell you how to live your life. He can't fucking wait. Okay? And if you think, oh, he's on the extreme, he would never get into power. He's already gotten way too close to power. Far too friendly with Trump. Trump is far too pleased with him. And yeah, maybe we won't, maybe he won't touch actual office, but he's inspiring. the fascists that are running for office. They like watching him. He says the things they're afraid to say. Just trying to tell you, man, these fascists are for real. And here we go to cap it off, a little bit of fucker Tucker. Here is Tucker. Really? Is that all you got? Is that all you fascists got? Oh no. Oh no. Is the fascists are reduced to harassing people on Twitter or Twitch. That's the scope of their power. No, I don't need to I don't mean to underestimate them though. They are for real. Well, that's what I thought that symbol was. It looked German. Monarchist. Oh, that's even... I don't know what's stupider. You're a monarchist. Really? Oh, it's Portuguese. Okay. I see. I thought that was the German army symbol. Looks really similar to it. I can't... It's really small. Anyway. Back to what I was talking about. Tucker over here... clutching pearls at the idea that trans people are now arming themselves because of all the abuse that him and people like him have been stirring up against the LGBTQ community, and does some kind of verbal jujitsu that somehow says, you know, these people, even though they're, you know, they're pedophiles attacking your children, they're grooming your children, they're coming after them. What you guys are worrying about? What's the problem here? What you guys are so reactionary? You guys are so, you know, you guys have no reason to be. Your lives are never been, you know, your lives are never threatened. Death threats are never sent to you. You know, that doesn't happen. It's spectacular gaslighting, but I mean, what can you expect from a master nihilist like Tucker Carlson?
But what you're watching here is not the exercise of the Second Amendment. What you're watching here is political hysteria, fear, ginned up on purpose with maximum dishonesty in order to get people in a state of agitation, armed people in a state of agitation. Doesn't matter if they're trans or not, whatever that is. It's the same template always. Scare the crap out of your voters, tell them that their lives are at risk, encourage them.
He's not describing the right-wing blueprint for electoral success. He's actually criticizing the left for doing this. Master gaslighter. And he does it without flinching. It's really quite amazing.
To get guns, how do you think that ends? But by the way, if we're following the logic here, and why not? That's in short supply in this country. You have to kind of wonder, like, what's the limit to this? So if trans people are in fear for their lives in every region in the country, including New England, which apparently is crawling with Nazis now, why wouldn't we be arming them as we are, say, Ukraine's trans army? And there are famously trans people in Ukraine's army. They're very, very proud of that. So why stop with AR-15s? I mean, why not F-35s or tanks?
It's just like Sart said. Once again, it's just like Sart said. They know what they're saying is ridiculous. They know what they're saying is ridiculous. Okay? This is about creating a narrative. This is about creating a framework that allows them to isolate their so-called enemies, whatever people that they've otherized and marginalized and characterized as the reason why the real America doesn't exist. Whoever that is, just fill in the blank. The fascist it doesn't matter to the fascists. They just as long as it's effective, right? And trans people are scary, so it's effective. So it's just like Sart said. It's just like Sart said. They know they're being absurd. They don't have to play with reality. They don't have to play within the confines of reality. So anyway, there you go. That's my fascist update. And look, the main reason why I'm doing this Okay, the main reason why I'm doing this update is to warn you, that these fascists are real. They want to take over democracy. They want to conquer democracy. They want to destroy democracy. People like Nick Fuentes are useful as bellwethers because they tell us exactly what the end goal is. Nick Fuentes is on board with the right wing because he understands, he sees that this is the trajectory that they're on. And so do a lot of people. The fact is, though, is that the mainstream right-wing party is made up of a bunch of useful idiots. A grand majority of them have no idea what they support. They really don't. They're useful idiots. They're useful idiots. Epic Gains. This was Tucker Carlson fear-mongering that because trans people, why would trans people need to be arming themselves? And if we're going to support trans people in Ukraine, because I guess there was some story of some trans people in the Ukrainian military or something, if we're going to be sending arms to the Ukrainian military that has some trans people in it, why wouldn't we just send tanks and other heavy arms to trans people in the United States? Bananas nonsense, right? Complete nonsense that no one with with any kind of, as Tucker Carlson has argued in court, that any person with any semblance of common sense would not take seriously. But the thing, he understands, this is what I'm trying to get at. He's a nihilist. He understands the absurdity. He understands the absurdity of what he's saying. But this is part of a longer project, a larger project to gaslight the country into accepting the demolition of democracy, the destruction of democracy. This is all staging for what is the grand experiment, which is let's install a right-wing authoritarian into America. Let's do it. No elections, but there will be elections, but it'll be like the Chinese elections, right? Epic Gains, you're one of the useful idiots if you're still thinking Tucker Carlson is anything other than a fascistic nihilist who wishes nothing but the worst for the people around him. He really doesn't care one way or the other, actually. He's a hardcore opportunist that will say and do anything to enrich himself. There's not an honest bone in his body. He would piss on you while you're on fire. Not to put you out. Then you're a fool, Epic Gains. Then you're a fucking fool. If you're giving Tucker Carlson the benefit of the doubt at this point, you honestly pull your head out of your ass. You are being lied to successfully. You're being grifted. This man should be treated with the contempt that he deserves. 100% to the core. Anyway, that's my fascist update. They're dangerous. They're trying to take over the country. And if useful idiots like Epic Gains keep listening to them and other morons like Joe Rogan, who are Trojan horsing a lot of useful idiots into supporting the right wing, because let me tell you, Epic Gains is going to vote for Ron DeSantis. He can't wait. A lot of useful idiots out there who think they understand what's going on, and they're being completely lied to. It's a complete false reality. And they would say, oh, well, the left wing are doing it too. And yes, MSNBC, CNN, ABC, yes, that's their attempt at it. And they're god-awful at it. They're terrible at it. There's a whole separate left from the mainstream corporate left that is actually paying attention and is fighting against both of these entities and doing so unsuccessfully, might I add. Try to assume the best intentions of people like Tucker Carlson. Get that fucking nonsense out the fuck of my chat. He argued in court that he's not to be taken seriously. Literally told you to our face, you'd be a fucking fool to listen to me. Oh, well, I try to think the best intentions of folks. Well, shucks. Thank you for the follow. Final boss. Moving on from our fascism.